Countdown to Halloween 2023, featuring eerie and uncanny tales of haunts, ghosts, and suspense. October is finally here. Join us all month for special Halloween presentations on Storylink Radio's YouTube channel as we count down to Halloween 2023. Keep a close eye on YouTube alerts or you'll miss one. Celebrate October with us right here and now. Tonight's presentation from Storylink Radio. Mummy's little helper. Annie lay in bed with the sheets pulled up under her chin. Her ears felt like they were sticking straight out from her head, so she was listening so hard. Her eyes stared into the darkness of her bedroom. And then she heard it again. A high, whispery voice that seemed to come from the walls around her. "Annie," the voice breathed. "Help me." Annie whimpered and pulled the cover up over her head. After a moment's thought, she stuck her head back out again to watch the room. Then, just like the night before, she heard soft sobbing flow around her like air. Except last night she had run into her parents' room and spent the night huddled between the two of them in their bed. That was when she found out that for some reason they were unable to hear the voice. So tonight Annie quietly asked, "Who are you?" The sobbing stopped. Annie's breathing stopped too. She waited for an answer. "Help me," the voice begged again. "Where are you? Where?" Annie asked slightly louder. There was no reply. She waited for an answer, but none came. Still scared, but also a little disappointed, she soon fell asleep. The next day at school, she pulled her friend Robin aside on the playground. "My bedroom is haunted," she announced abruptly. Robin stared at her. "What do you mean?" Annie looked over her shoulder to make sure there was no one around. "The last 2 nights, I've heard a voice coming from the walls." Robin's mouth dropped open. "What?" She looked at Annie as if she were speaking a different language. "I know it sounds really weird, but I swear, the voice is really soft, kind of whiny, like a little kid's." What does it say?" "It just keeps asking me to help it." "Help it? What?" Annie threw her hands up. I know. It keeps saying, 'Help me, help me,'" she mimicked in a whispering voice. "And it knows my name. I'm really starting to get scared, Robin." "Have you told your parents?" Annie shook her head. "No, I tried, but they can't hear it. Kids only can hear it, maybe, because... Besides, I'm not even sure it's real." She looked at her friend in desperation, hoping Robin would tell her she wasn't going crazy. Robin just shook her head and looked puzzled. Annie continued, "I want you to help me figure out what's going on." "Me? How?" "I already asked my mom if you could spend the night tonight. Look, if you stay, then we'll see if you can hear it too, okay?" Robin looked around as if she were trying to get away. I don't know, Annie. Please, you're my best friend." Robin thought about it for a moment. "All right, but I hope we don't hear anything." That night, the two girls huddled under the covers of Annie's bed together. "What do you think it is?" Robin asked. Annie thought a moment. "I think it's the ghost of some poor kid who died here." "Yeah, maybe the house is built over some old Indian graveyard, like in the Poltergeist. They're here. You know that thing?" "Do you think it could be the house itself talking to us, though?" Annie wondered. Their excited whispers soon became yawns as the night wore on. Annie had tried to keep Robin from falling asleep, but with no luck. She stared sleepily at the ceiling. "I don't know if I want to hear the voice again or not," she thought. "But what if it's the ghost of some poor little girl, just like me? Maybe... Annie, help me." Annie's eyes snapped open, and she pushed at Robin's shoulder. Her friend turned over and started to speak. Annie quickly put one hand over Robin's mouth and with the other held a finger to her lips. "Help me," the voice pleaded. Robin's eyes grew so wide Annie thought they'd pop out of her head. She sat up and pulled Annie's hand away. "Where is it coming from?" She was so scared her voice was almost as high as the ghostly one. Annie shook her head violently. She put her mouth next to Robin's ear. "I don't know." They both strained their ears. "Help me, The voice cried, beginning to sob. "Come on," whispered Annie. "Let's see if we can hear it anywhere else in the house." "Are you crazy?" Robin hissed. "Come on," Annie urged her along. She slipped out of bed and practically pulled Robin out, too. "Annie, I don't think this is a good idea." Annie waved her to be silent. This was beginning to be more interesting than scary. Maybe they would solve some ancient mystery. They crept into the hallway. The sobbing seemed louder there. "Your parents can't hear this," asked Robin. Said Annie, pulling her friend down the hall after her. As they approached the kitchen, the sobbing seemed to grow louder. It no longer seemed to come from the walls, but now carried up from the floor beneath them. Suddenly Annie whirled and faced Robin. "I know where it's coming from." "Where?" "The basement." Robin stared at the floor. "Should we tell your mom and dad, maybe, huh?" Annie thought about it. It was one thing to have an adventure, but it was another to get in trouble for doing it, and if they would woke her parents up, well, it would be more exciting to solve the mystery all on their own anyway. "Oh, come on, let's just go take a look. If it's something bad, then we'll go get Mom and Dad." Robin studied her friend. "All right," she agreed after a moment. Then she shook her head. "I can't believe we're doing this." So they crept through the kitchen to the utility room. Annie grabbed a flashlight from one of the drawers and led Robin over to the basement door. With a deep breath, she pulled the door open and shone the light in. The sobs seemed to fill the room. They were definitely louder here than anywhere else in the house. Annie turned on the basement light. With the glare of a bare light bulb, the sobbing stopped. Annie stopped, and Robin stood at the top of the steps and examined the room. There was nothing here as out of the ordinary. A long table stood against one wall, and where Annie's father kept all his tools, off in one corner was the water heater. Next to that was a cedar closet where her mom kept some old clothes. The furnace took up the other corner. Annie descended a few more steps and looked around as she glanced up at Robin. Then she walked all the way down into the basement. The floor was made of long wooden planks laid over bare earth. There's nothing here," she announced, somewhat surprised. "Are you sure?" asked Robin from the top of the stairs. "Yeah. Come on down, Robin." Robin stepped cautiously down to the basement floor. "Well, it sure sounded like it was coming from down here." Annie turned to answer. "Yeah, it really... Help me! Help me!" She'd been right. There was someone down here. Annie's blood was racing. She barely noticed that Robin was about to scream. "Help me, Annie!" The child's voice begged, the voice had come from under the floorboards. But how could something live under there? Was there, a cave or something? "Annie," warned Robin in a cracking voice. Don't! Annie frowned at her friend. "Look," she said, pointing to the wooden planks. "I'll bet you someone's buried under there. Now they need help. They need to have a decent burial, a real one." Robin felt like she was going to throw up. "Annie," she pleaded with her friend, "let's go get your parents or the police or someone." She started to back away from the stairs, but Annie was too excited to stop. She felt like a detective now, solving an important case. She strode over to her father's tools and grabbed a chisel and a hammer. She looked up at Robin. "You don't have to stay if you're afraid, but close the door behind you so I don't wake up my parents." Robin climbed the stairs and closed the door. She sat down on the steps, too worried to leave her friend all alone, though. Annie attacked the boards in front of the stairway. She managed to get the chisel under the edge of one of the planks, and using the hammer was able to pry it up. A dark space was revealed. She sat back and studied the hole. Did she really want to do this? Then she grabbed the flashlight and beamed it into the opening. Under the floorboards was a small, shallow grave scooped out of the dirt, and huddled in the bottom was a mummified body of a small child. "I was right," Annie said triumphantly, looking up at Robin. Robin peered down at Annie. Then she heard a dry sound like two pieces of paper being rubbed together. Then she gasped. A brown, flaking arm had shot out of the hole. Robin's stomach seemed to jump to the back of her mouth as she watched the thing drag her kicking friend into the hole with incredible strength. A horrible thought thrust into her mind like an icicle, that when something calls for help, it might be because it's hungry. And then her mind stopped working, and she sat on the steps and screamed. You've just heard tonight's story from Storylink Radio's Countdown to Halloween 2023. Remember to come back for our next tale. Many more stories of all genres available to listen to and read along with now on our website at www.storylinkradio.com. Visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/storylinkradio. And visit our podcast for easy mobile listening anywhere, anytime. Just search for Storylink Radio on your favorite podcast provider. Oh, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click that alert bell for Storylink Radio.